Board regular meeting, Tuesday, April 11th, 2023, come to order. We're going to do a prayer and pledge, prayed by Mr. Kelly.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you, God, for the opportunity here to conduct our school business for the month. We thank you, God, for the opportunity for leadership and opportunity to serve. We pray, God, we have great divine discernment, wisdom, God. We pray that we would conduct ourselves in a way that's pleasing to you, and we just thank you, God, for the opportunity to serve. We pray, God, for our students as they wrap up this school year. We pray for them as they go to testing, Lord. Pray for all of our teachers and staff that attend to them. Pray, God, for your hand of protection upon our school as well. God, we love you and thank you for just us being able to be here, fellowship one with another tonight. In Jesus' name.
With allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving right along, item number 2, recognition presentation.
Yes, sir. I'm excited about a lot of things going on in our school system, and obviously we're in the education business. And as we shared at the last board, maybe 2 board meetings ago, when we recognized the Hosford team, we talked about the word is, or combination word is student athlete. You got to be a student first. I remember sharing with my son who went to college. I said, if you don't do it in the classroom, you don't get any at bats on the field. You got to perform in the classroom. These guys do wonderful in both of those areas, and we are in our 2nd year of wrestling. I'm going to ask Mr. Willis if he'd come up here just for a second, kind of introduce Coach Brown, and I'll tell this little story. I remember I've known Jason all of his life. I'm not that much older than he is, but I remember when he moved back from, was it South Carolina? Y'all were living? Tennessee. I was guidance counselor at the high school, and this was around the middle 90s. I can't remember what year, but Robin brought him in and enrolled him. He was a junior, I think, and he was excited about coming home and going to school here. He said, now y'all do a wrestling program, don't you? I said, no, we don't. I saw all the air go out of Jason Brown's demeanor. But it's been a passion for him as an athlete in school in the past, and he's been doing this with his boys for a long time. And him and Emily's raised 2 wonderful kids, and then them Har boys. I mean, they are synonymous with good grades and good DNA for playing ball. They are good. They got a good mom and daddy as well. And so I'm gonna let Mr. Willis kind of introduce, because they qualified for state. So. And let them talk a little bit about what happened. Maybe get Jason Brown to come up here and give us a quick synopsis of the season. So, Mr. Willis, turn it over to you.
First of all, glad to be able to congratulate the boys since I'm all this congratulate the girls. So these boys there, right? So yeah, we have you mentioned, and I mentioned the ring ceremony and the signing ceremony. Student athletes. That's where it's at. So Jay and Scout are as good as they come when it comes to what a student is and the athlete. It is a privilege to have both of these students at Liberty County High School. To see the success they have on the mats, but also in the classroom. We were super proud of them for the success they had in making it all the way out of state, and didn't win it all, but to make it down there is a feat in itself. And so congratulations. We are very proud of each of you and for representing Liberty County and Liberty County High School. I would love for Jason to come up and kind of give us season.
I'm kind of disappointed we didn't get regarding food.
We can have another meeting to do it. You kind of talk about the season this boys had, but from Liberty County High School principal, congratulations. I know I'm proud of you and to say that you are and will be graduates of Liberty County High School. So round of applause, please.
Yeah. Sandy Coach.
Um, They, yeah, it was a long season. Our season runs from November, and we start second week of November till first week of March. So it's a long time. 5 days a week. What is our practice? 3.5, 4 hours. It's every day. We condition 2 hours of that, 2 hours of wrestling. So these guys are in exemplary shape. They fought hard. We've traveled, I don't know, we wrestled in 3 different states this year. Yeah, with Tennessee, the Chattanooga area, probably one of the toughest tournaments in the country. I did good. We didn't get what we wanted, but we were there and we competed. Did great in Alabama. We've done great around here. We traveled to South Florida. Unfortunately, I don't like to stay around here because we don't get the best competition. So I try to get them to travel, which requires us to get there, but we pull it off somehow. What was your, both of them had, I know, great records. I think Jay only lost 8 or 9 matches, maybe 10. Scout, the same thing, it wasn't a lot, which is pretty good, considering. And then at state, Scout did great. I think he could have done better, but he had some nerve issues, which is normal. It happened to Jay last year. But Jay ended up, he got 5th, out of 16. Lost to the #1 kid in the country in the semifinals. Otherwise, we would have been going for first or second. Took a tough loss. That side, but all in all. Practice, we're still practicing every day, so they want to do it, so I show up somehow. Leave them work. Got 2 numbers to get here every day, so. But kudos to them. They do all the work. I'm just the guy that's training them.
Good job. Y'all come up here, y'all want to scout, you want to say anything? Jay, you want to say anything? Y'all want to come up here and let's get a picture of the board members? Come on, get up here.
We might have a picture taken.
Well, I think so.
Here's your man, they're gonna get.
Thank y'all. Congratulations.
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 Good job, guys.
I move right on public comment, have any? Item 4,
Okay. Just a few items for tonight. Thursday, April 27th, we'd like to have a joint session of the Liberty County School Board and County Commission. So we have met with the, I figure what that guy's name was, totally drew a blank, but anyway, about redistricting. Ms. Jennifer, you remember this? Yes, her. They've got some, obviously try to keep it just kind of in a nutshell, they want to try to keep the districts as equal as possible without affecting present people who are in office and where we live. It's amazing how many people on boards are kind of on the line and stuff. So there's some potential there that as we kind of talk possible, I think will be doable. Now, at the end of the day, Ms. Sheila, correct me if I'm wrong, the school board could draw their own district boundaries. The county could have their own, which would be kind of a nightmare for supervisors for elections. I think would be kind of tough. So we want to be on the same page. We always have over the last 20+ years. And so, but there is some number disparity between certain districts. So they've got some lines, proposed lines. And again, it won't affect anybody that's in office to look at. So we'll do that on 27th. We're going to host that here. So we'll figure out that night who the shooter loves the most, us or them. Okay. So no, I'm waiting. We're waiting on the Department of Treasury to approve the extension of closing our 2020 New Market Tax Credit deal. I'm not optimistic. I just want to be honest with you. It was going to be a long shot anyway. I continue to dialogue with Representative Dunn's office. They are very, very good. They wouldn't at first, but they've been very good at communications with me. We had our Quality B meeting just prior to this meeting and talked to Matt Hugway and you know, there's some things really got to happen. We don't need money, we need time to close the deal. So that's what we're asking. So I'm dealing with a girl named Bethany Boggs, and she's been very, very helpful. And I met her probably 20 years ago and realized that she was now with his office. So I would, if I had to put a percent, I'd probably say we probably got a 5 to 10% chance of that happening, just to be honest with you. But as Jeff reminded me today, we can be like the guys at Dumb and Dumber and say, so you're saying I have a chance in that movie. So I think there's always a chance. Number 3, there was a mock DUI that was supposed to happen last week. It got rescheduled to April the 20th. If you've never been a part of that, I want to encourage you to come see that. It's kind of the SRO. Chad Smith puts together a really wonderful job. Try to do it right before prom to really encourage kids not to drink and drive, around prom time. But it's a really moving exercise. So if you can be here, it'll be at the football field, and that'll be the new day for it. Last week, as Eric mentioned, we had a wonderful celebration of the celebrating the LCHS state volleyball girls. Got their rings, and that was just a really good thing. The media covered that, so it was on the news. I'm just very proud of them, as we all are as a community. I'll be in Walton County tomorrow for the PAC Board of Directors meeting, so if you need me, call me on my cell. Next week, April 25th, School Bus Driver Appreciation Day. We're very grateful for all of our drivers and our substitute drivers. Those are somebody asked me, what's the hottest position in your county? It's trying to fill the most challenging. I said substitute bus drivers. That's a big job. So I appreciate Kevin and all his staff for making that happen. Because some kids, first people they see is the bus drivers in the morning. It's an extremely important job. Number 7, this that we had last week at I've called y'all personally and told you about. There's some activities that are going on this week. I'll be able to tell you more later. But the status is the same. So that's all I'll say about that at this time. And if you have any questions, please call me and I'll let you know. Again, number 8, very proud of our state qualifiers. They had a really good year this year, in year 2 of the program. Number 9, don't know how much y'all have been listening to the legislature. I gave y'all some updates to everybody in the county of our staff. House Bill 1 is now law. Governor DeSantis signed that into law. One of the big things, it allows students to take their FTE or their student funding with them to the school now of their choice, which is more like a voucher. That's not such a big deal in a school district that doesn't have a private school or a charter school, because they kind of do that now. Kids get school choice, they can go wherever they want to, which takes their funding with them. But it's affecting a lot of schools. It's been superintendents have just not been talked to by the legislature on, how does that affect your school? Everything from the school start times that I mentioned at the last board meeting, there's just no communication. And I think I shared at our last FAS meeting, the commissioner was supposed to be there with a bunch of his staff members, and they just said, oops, sorry, can't come. And that's about the communication that we've gotten. It's almost like the legislature's making some real tough decisions, and not asking how does that affect us as school districts. I'm a little disappointed in the lack of communication between the two. Number 10, we're working on some humidity and moisture issues here at the district office. Y'all know we had it back when the AC was down back in the spring and top of the summer. We're having some of that. I think over the spring break, maybe it didn't work or it didn't cut on or whatever, but we got some issues now. So Kevin let me know we've got a guy coming Thursday morning at 10 to give us an evaluation, but we've got some issues in some rooms that need immediate attention. So I've talked with staff. I'm giving them a little freer schedule and to work from home till we get them out of some areas if they're being affected. Obviously in here we don't have carpet, so it's not as big a deal in those areas. But I sent some staff members over to the adult ed room, which is empty, and we may move some over there till we figure out what we got to do to be able to do some deep cleaning and carpet. Maybe need to strip some carpet. Don't know what we got to do till he comes on Thursday. Kind of gives us some ideas of some mitigation measures. Number 11, there's a keynote speaker named Rob Holliday. He'll be in each of our schools on Thursday giving a vaping awareness presentation. Vaping continues to be an issue. I know Rob could write a book on just this year alone. It's just a real issue, and the danger of those devices are, I think probably it's going to take a few years for people realize just the damage as people do it as young adults or younger teenagers. And then when they possibly have issues in their 20s and 30s, it looks so innocent that, they market it very well, but it's a problem in our schools, and it's hard to police. I've reached out to a few companies. If you on your desk, you got some bags. If you're wondering, that's one of the companies they drop by. I want to kind of show you some of the stuff that they sell, or they're a vendor for some of those things. But there's multiple vendors that have these products. Obviously, you got to have a brand or something. They are very expensive. One device typically is about $795 to go in one bathroom. That's a lot of money. So you got to have thousands of dollars to pay for that to cover all bathrooms. So I really want to take that serious because I feel like we need to do our part in making sure that we control that. It affects a lot of innocent students who may come to school and get approached by that. Next thing you know, they're involved in that behavior, and it's not good for any of our kids. We want to keep them off of that. And if you want to come to that, I put the times there if you want to be a part of those presentations. I've added the new proposed fee schedule. I put that on the agenda. I want to explain a little bit about it. You also have a copy of the existing thing. Maybe during the discussion phase tonight, we could just talk about that in lieu of a workshop if y'all are okay after. When we get to that phase, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to just kind of talk about that. And then if y'all want to hold off on something, I'm fine with that. That won't be a problem. But just want to give you something to look at tonight without having to do a workshop. Number 13, we are hosting beach volleyball district tournament this year, which is great. Our court is phenomenal. I don't know if some of y'all have been out there, and it's just incredible. We'll be hosting, which will bring some revenue into our beach volleyball program. Obviously, we can charge that higher amount for district tournament fees and concessions and all of that. So that'll start on the 24th. A couple people we lost in the last few weeks. Ruth Duncan Sewell. She taught at Hofstra School for well over 30 years. And then Miss Yvonne Watson, who taught here at the high school, the old high school and then this school for 33 years. Prayers for their families. Did any of them teach y'all? Miss Watson, she teach y'all were in school, did you, James? Y'all probably were. She taught me, and probably the biggest skill I got ever from Liberty County High School was outside. And then Miss Ruth taught at Hosford, and she was one of my teachers over there, 4th and 5th grade. So anyway, they're fine folks. Remember their families. And then the sad news up here, I sent out an email this afternoon. Vicky Schuler's son, Albert, passed away yesterday, and that was kind of a sudden thing over the weekend. He got sick. And so just pray for Vicky, Craig, and Alicia, their whole family. They have I think it's a deal. The brother, Christine. Yeah, just remember them. That's just a tough thing. Albert was precious. He had a lot of needs and a lot of challenges, but they took care of him and done a great job. So y'all just remember Vicky. Lastly, 7 weeks of school, it seemed like we just started. For some, maybe not so much, but a very fast year, so 7 weeks of school, and we'll be done. But we've already started planning. We met with our Hosford principal yesterday, trying to look at staffing plans, trying to be as efficient as possible with staff. We've got some gaps to fill, got a few people who are not coming back, we've had some resignations, just people taking another job. So we've got some folks to pull from if we need to in some of these extra positions if need be, that Esther's been able to pay for, but Esther will run out after this, summer of 24 will be the last school year that we are able to use that, so the 23-24 school year. So, you know, we want to be good stewards of that money, but also understanding that it does go away. Not sure what will replace that, if anything, but we got to be prepared that nothing will replace it. So we're going to tighten our belt as much as we can where we can. Anyway, thank y'all, appreciate you, and I'll Mr. Doobie, if you'll let me talk during that that part of the agenda, I'll bring in and speak on that.
I move right along to item 5. Need a motion to approve addition corrections to consent item 8B and act on item 9. Have a motion. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Next item B, need a motion to approve to add emergency item 10A, B, and C. Have a motion.
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Moore, second.
Second.
Second, Ms. Fowler. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Next item C. We have deleted action item 9O and board policy. 11. Have a motion on that?
Motion.
Jackson, second. Jody, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Next item 6. Need a motion to approve the agenda for April 11th, 2023. Have a motion?
Motion.
Mrs. Flower, second. Yes, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Next item 7. Need a motion to approve March 14th, 2023 regular meeting minutes. Have a motion? Motion, Jody, second.
Second.
Flower. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item 8. Need a motion to approve the following financial reports for transaction. Principal report for March 2023. Financial statement for March 2023. We didn't have any budget amendments for March, and bills and payrolls for March 2023. Have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Moore, second.
Second.
Second, Ms. Flower, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item B, need a motion to approve April 11th, 2023 personnel consent table with additions and corrections. Have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Ms. Singletary, second. Second, Ms. Jody, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Next item C, need a motion to approve April 11th, 2023 out of field teacher. Have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Ms. Singletary, second. Second, Ms. Jody, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Item D, need a motion to approve April 2023 update sublease. Have a motion?
Motion.
All second.
Second.
Ms. Flower, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Next item 9, item A, we need a motion to approve the 4-day summer work schedule for 12 months. Employees beginning the 5th to 29th, 23 through the 7th, 28th to 23, from 7:30 to 5, with 30 minutes lunch break. Have a motion?
Motion.
Secretary, second.
Second.
Second, Ms. Flower, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Next item B, need a motion to approve grant funded summer personnel consent table with additions and corrections for 22-23 school year. Have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Moore, second. Second, Ms. Jody. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Item C, Need a motion to approve registration expenses in the amount of $2,093 for superintendent and 6 administrators to attend the Panhandle Area Education Consortium, Florida Learners Foundation 56th Annual Leadership Conference at FSU Dunlap Champion Club in Tallahassee, Florida, July 18th through 2023. Have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Ms. Secretary, second.
Second.
Second, Ms. Fowler, any discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
just like to bring it in front of the board, item C, this one, F and G are basically the same thing. They're registration fees, travel expenses. Would it be possible, or is it okay, I don't know, if we need to put this in front of the board, how we put this in front of the board, to consolidate anything like travel, the drop, if it's the same related items, put them together on the agenda, just to make it stream a little better. Do we have to put that as a?
I don't think it's an issue unless you wanted to approve one and not the other, but I think we could do that in the motion.
So we can do that in future agendas.
Okay.
It'd be fine, I just want to bring that up.
And she had mentioned that to me, I'll just tell y'all, so the consent agenda, you can do that at the PAC board meeting, if a board member wants to pull an item off to talk to discuss, but we can put those together and you could say, make a motion to do by consent, item C, D, E, and F, if everybody agrees. But so if y'all want us to kind of do that, we can put some of that on consent, get them all in one motion, but obviously y'all have the final say so on pulling things off.
Even if you do see it, you'll say, well, let's go.
Correct. Yeah. I'll do C and D, but not B. I won't talk about it.
Say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item D, need a motion to approve the 5/20 juvenile detention school calendar 22-23 school year. Have a motion. Motion, Mr. Moore, second. Second, Ms. Joey, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
No.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item E, motion to approve 2023 SBA membership renewal, 7th, 1st to 23 through the 6th, 30th to 24th. Have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Flower, second. Jason, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
No.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Next item L, need a motion to approve travel expenses of $900 for RDC, Director BSE, and the district's mental health coordinator to attend the 2023 Florida School Safety Summit, June the 12th and the 14th, 2023 at Orlando, Florida. Have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Moore, second. Second, Secretary, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Next item G, need a motion to approve travel expenses in the amount of $994 for Ricky Sampson, District Safety and Security Specialist to attend the 2023 Florida School Safety Summit, June the 12th and the 14th, 2023 in Orlando, Florida. Have a motion? Motion. Do we have a second? Flower, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Next, need a motion to approve engagement letter between Liberty County School Board District and I was in trouble with that. CPA, PA consulting services to be performed for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023. Have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Fowler, second. Secretary, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Item I, need a motion to approve Florida Department of Education, Office of Education Facilities, Florida Inventory of Schoolhouses, facilities, data, fish. Have a motion? Motion. Motion, Jody, second. Second, Secretary, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Item J, need a motion to approve dual enrollment of articulation agreement between Leon County School Food Services and Lively Technical College and Liberty County School District for 23-24 school year. Have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Moore, second. Second, Ms. Jody, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Next item K. Need a motion to approve Liberty County School District participation support for the 2023 STEM Summer Challenge provided by Emory Middle Aeronautical University through a partnership with Panhandle Area Education Facility. Have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Flowers, second.
Second.
Second, Singletary, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Next item L, need a motion to approve idea, part B, preschool entitlement, FDOE project award notification for program period of 7/1/2022 through the 6/30 of 23. Have a motion? Motion, Jody, second. Second, Ms. Flowers, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next item M, need a motion to approve idea part B, K through 12, entitlement FDOE project award notification for program period of 7/1/22 through the 6/30 of 23. Have a motion? Motion, Mr. Singletary, second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Moore, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item N. Need a motion to approve the GASB 75 contract for articulation services to commence March 1st, 23, and continue until September 30th through 24. Nikki Hudson of Panhandle Area Education. Have a motion?
Motion.
Motion is carried, second, Ms. Flowers. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Order been deleted. Moving on, item P, need a motion to approve 2023 through 24 district organization chart. Have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Flowers, second.
Second.
Second, Ms. Doty, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Next item, Q. Need a motion to approve use of facilities fee schedule. Have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Ms. Singletary, second. Second, Ms. Doty. Ms. Doty.
So, and before you, Mr. Renee put, what we're currently using, and I think we talked about, I might have got y'all copies of that the last time. Basically, if you turn on the back page or the front page, page 2, I guess, the only thing we're charging now, category 1 users, if you look at the very top, school organizations, we don't require them that they can waive fees for them. But if you get down to categories 2 and 3, depending on what it is, that's when you can charge. So if you look towards the bottom or under I, pay for any additional utility expenses incurred by such use. What I'd love to do is to scratch, maybe purge that, because right now the only thing we're charging is $35 an hour. Of course, Titan Electric just said, well, that's great. And we want them to do activities in Oxford or wherever they serve, but and they recently did. And then on J, pay a refundable $50 deposit for cleaning. I don't think there's been anybody in the last 2 years, Renee, that didn't get their deposit back because it didn't clean. But in the event that you had somebody rent the facility, if we've added that in there, so for the different buildings and facilities, we've put a custodial fee in there, and that would, they may say up front, we don't want to clean anything, we just like to pay your custodian to do it. Well, then that could be an option if they want to pay that up front. And again, it's per hour with a 3-hour minimum. So right now we've been charging $35 an hour. We're actually going to charge what I'm proposing to y'all. If y'all, and again, if y'all want to think about this, I'm totally okay with that. That's okay. But an actual rental fee for the facility, custodial responsibility if they do not clean it back up afterwards, which again, most groups that want to come here and use it, they're just really good about doing this. And then, because it's usually home folk, people around here, and then the utilities, Obviously, that's a big deal, is for, the power, the air, heater, all that kind of stuff. So I'm not trying to make it cost prohibitive for groups to do this. And again, we don't have a lot of people who want to come in that are not school related stuff, but I think it's one of those things where, when the Talcott thing was a wake up call for me, that, and again, not trying to skin them, but what's fair, and when we told them $35 an hour, it just blows their mind, because they were, they may start doing their annual meetings down here, I don't know, that'd be great too. Athletic fields, you see that, the gym, obviously gym is a climate control thing, you got a lot more, stuff there, and this would be the gymnasiums at all the schools, cafeteria, and then towards the bottom, we added something, for the district office, lunchroom and kitchen. If you want to, one thing I would probably say is to increase the deposit, and I can add that to this. I think Jody called me and mentioned that, but I wanted to make sure we get it off of this, maybe making it $100. You know what I'm saying? Make it a little more.
Well, it's gonna depend on the size, I mean, if you rent that building, or if you rent the gymnasium, or the cafeteria, there's gonna be a lot more cleanup.
Well, and that's why you got a 3-hour minimum you gotta pay, plus whatever extra is. And so if you up the deposit, that gives them a little bit more incentive to make sure it's clean, or either to make sure that if the custodial staff has to come in and less than 10 hours, cleaning it up. And again, hadn't been a problem, but obviously you want to put an infrastructure in place that, would be fine. Now, under there kind of addresses the issue that we had from Ms. Gloria Parrish, who had inquired about using the auditorium, or that was what she specifically said, for like a multi-year use. She wants to do a church service, have a church here. Well, if you look up under category 3 on that page 2, it says governmental agencies, non-student related use, community groups, churches. You can charge participants a fee, or if they charge participants a fee, tuition, collect donations, offerings, which is obviously what a church group typically does, then they fall under that category 3, which means we charge them, what this would be. Now, the question is, that would probably be pretty cost prohibitive if they say we need 3 hours on Sunday morning, 3 hours on Sunday night. I don't know when their services are, if they're doing 2 services a day, they may just be doing 1. That gives us a little wiggle room to do a different little separate agreement. But I'm to my personal opinion is I kind of always want to stick with what we have. There's a lot of issues up here that, we got some, we can shut doors off from the rest of the front of the district office. The problem is you got to access the bathrooms. You got to go through some doors to get to some bathrooms. So we can make it work if y'all are interested in doing that. But I would like to, if we do that, I would like to. They say we want to use it free. I would want to do a lease agreement with them, and then have something with some guarantee in there. Again, not trying to skin a church or something, but I want to feel good about what we're doing, where we're covering our costs. You know what I'm saying? So if any of those numbers, like I usually use the expression, give you heartburn, I'm okay with that. We can adjust whatever. Y'all look at that. If y'all want to table that and chew on it for a month, add it, take away. So, Mr. Chair, I'll turn it back over to you.
Change it or change it now?
If y'all give me some direction, y'all can table it, and then what we do is correct it. And I'm anticipating having at least one meeting probably before the 27th, probably an emergency meeting, and I can get it on that with those other items that we took off. But whatever y'all I just, my recommendation, y'all be $100 for the deposit. That's fair. Minimum $100. Yeah.
I agree with that, and I think, the one reason I mentioned having the deposit on there is because at the bottom mentions deposits.
Right.
But if you look at the fee schedule, deposits come on, you have to go to another.
Yeah, and we'll add that on, and I'll take it off on the other one.
Yeah, just.
$50, a lot of people say, why would they pay $50?
That's what we don't.
Oh, yeah.
Much done.
And it would cost us more than $50.
Right.
Right,
If you put the, that's.
right.
That's what I'm wondering is, if they do that, and we have to pay custodian to clean it up, is it gonna wind up costing us cleaning with what we charge?
With
Well, they're-
With $100.
They're gonna pay a 3-hour minimum up front. And my thing is if they pay that up front, they pay that custodial up front plus the $100, then if they, to me, if they clean it up and it's to our satisfaction, we'll give them the deposit back and the custodial fee back. I'm okay with that. If they leave it the way they found it. Because we didn't have to pay nobody to come in.
Good. Can I say something? When's your custodians gonna do it? Cause I got a wife. You're not gonna get them to do it. They on a schedule, like say high school, like her. She's on a schedule. When are they gonna have time to do it?
Well, you'd have to contract with them and say, look, you wanna make some extra money? You may have some custodians within the county that want.
Give them the deposit.
Yeah, you wanna make you some money. I think it'd be few and far between if ever. It hadn't been a problem yet.
I wouldn't give them the option. They got one.
Well, and that's the part, that's the $100.
Yeah, and then they're cleaning to them, may not be cleaning to us. And we can say, well, that's not cleaning to us. Give the deposit back.
Well, that's not the only thing in question, if they're gonna possibly rent it like Civic Center when you rent down there. If you didn't clean it up and they charge the box, you didn't get paid.
Right.
You lost availability to any rentals.
They're gonna pay $100, they're gonna pay these fees up front. These are upfront fees. So they're paying, just for cleaning stuff, they're gonna pay $81 for custodial and then $100 deposit. Upfront.
Full clean.
And what did you just say, Lou, about the Civic Center down there?
I feel like when they were renting down there, and then you would come along, if there was a problem or issue with the cleaning of it, or how it's supposed to be left in the deposit, they didn't give their deposit back, and then they didn't have the ability to come back and re-rent it again. They
Re-clean it again?
Re-rent it.
You were
Like
there.
re-rent it?
You were there.
And I think we need to put something like that in ours.
I knew that.
Because
Users.
we have an issue, and we ain't got that in there, that what's gonna say that they have to back to service.
We can add that in there. I'll get Ms. Schuler to come up with a nice legal clause.
Give her a job.
I would recommend that, yes.
just make a motion to table that.
Okay.
More
Second.
motion to table,
I second that.
Jeremy, second, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed, motion carries.
Thank y'all.
Item 10. Need a motion to approve drop request, Tammy Stevens, verification of W October, effective April 1st, 2023, with the option of terminating at any time before final retirement date of March 31st, 2028. Motion. Jody, any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, had a discussion with Kyle about this. We've had many that drop requests come back in for revisions of dates. My question was, and I don't know, Kyle, did you talk to Jennifer about this?
I did not.
Okay.
I did not.
Because the dates, I mean, it may have to come back in front of us again, if the dates are out of sync with FRS. So my question is this, when we approve a drop request, if we say, could we say, anticipated, subject to FRS, would that be good enough to put in front of the board and let us pass this drop request?
I think,
You talking in your
Instead of having, it
motion?
had to come back in front of the board again, put it on the agenda, and then we go, did we just approve that, you know?
well, and we were talking about that, Melanie, if you got any insight on this, we kind of project that date, the employee with the employee, but then if we may not have all their FRS information, maybe where they work somebody else, so when it actually makes application for that, then you get you get an actual date. Isn't that what happened on these others? And it didn't affect them.
So if they join drop, just if I join drop the month that I have 30 years, then I have the option of 5 years of drop. If I waited 6 more months and I said, oh, I'm gonna drop now. Whoever may not know, oh, she has 30 years and 6 months, which means I don't have from that day to 5 years. I have from that day to 4.5 years, because the maximum is 5.
Right.
So the disconnect is maybe
But not necessarily all the time is here. Maybe they worked.
I understand that for
blah,
us,
blah,
I
blah.
get that, but my question is for the board, because instead of us having to put it back on the agenda again, it's confusing
If
sometimes.
you put it like in a range,
No, she said an anticipated date, I don't believe it.
And we can't do that.
Well, another thing that you would face is these teachers that can get extended years of working. Where the regular drop 5 years, but then a teacher in a high need area can have theirs extended for 2 or 3 years, so then that date's gonna change, again.
Donna's was one of them that she got an extra year,
Right.
first change.
Okay.
So,
Y'all, I mean, I'm trying
It has
to
come.
clarify the agenda, make it as, as simple as
Yeah.
possible, and
could we say, like tonight, approve drop request for Tammy Stevens? That's it,
5 years,
nothing, and then once it's clarified what her actual date, the latest date she can retire, then come back, approve. Instead of approving 2 different dates on every drop request. The first deal will just be approved drop request. You're still gonna have to see it twice, but it's
that
less.
makes sense.
yeah, I was trying, again, I agree with that, because it is.
Yeah.
But there's really no
confusing.
way.
You did it one time, and you got this date, and then you got another date, come on top of it. But there's no way to pin it down.
Could you maybe approve a beginning date? Take it like Tammy Stevens, joined drop blank, because when Tammy Stevens leaves, whether that's 1 year from now, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's gonna also come back, isn't it? Their resignation,
Yes.
so that'll cover your 2 times. I don't know that it's
Is
necessary.
there something that's in law, and I don't know, I'm new and I don't know all this, is there something in law that the board has to approve your final day?
No.
All they have to approve is your 5-year drop. So you wouldn't have to
That's
come
all
back
right.
and add a date.
Right.
So when
That's
you
what I'm
approve,
saying.
you just put it up there, Miss Stevens. The board needs to approve Miss Stevens' 5-year drop. Boom, that's it. Then you don't have to come back, you don't have to add a date. Whenever her 5 years is up, finance keeps up with it, Mr. Petty keeps up with it, and it's a done deal.
Or she wants to go to.
If she retires in 2 years or 5.
So that's what Melanie was saying, if you
Yeah,
just say
I
effective
like
date
that.
on
I don't
the
know
date.
that I would say approve a 5-year drop.
Or just
In
approve
case
drop.
she already
Her drop
had-
request.
Yeah.
I
Her
just
first drop request, boom, we're out.
A little bit effective to the state when it ends.
You don't need to approve an ending date, cause y'all don't know when I'm gonna end anyway. I'm not getting mad next
Approve
week.
10 more times.
I like that. I like that one, how y'all feel about that? I like that, let's just approve drop request.
With a beginning date,
Yeah.
If that's okay.
Is-
Effective.
Well, we got to have a beginning date, so FRS can figure it on that day, I think.
Well, like this, the effective date is already come and gone, so we know that's the effective date. Drop request, effective date. Come good with that?
I'm good with it.
My only, and I'm fine with that, the only thing is, you know, she writes a letter and says, I'm engaging in drop April 1st, 2023, like this says. But what if the drop comes back and says, you're really not eligible until April 10th? I think that's where there's been a little bit of a disconnect, is being able to, what letters we're getting us on the front end is matching the back end.
And there,
So they don't accept that. So just
And
allow.
why wouldn't you say her eligible date of entering drop, we
Instead of putting an
approve,
actual date,
with no date?
just put
Her
her
eligible
eligible date
date
per FRS.
Leave it like this.
yeah, we don't, could we go to FRS before we do the letter?
She sends a letter.
I know you don't do this, but it is very, very hard to get a human.
I can believe it.
I mean, like, one lady that I dealt with at Gadsden and I've dealt with here, she's the only one person in her whole department. Just like everything else.
I just thought all this was on.
My wife can try to. do
I
it.
remember seeing all this on the screen,
She said
like,
that
all my
for
stuff
hours
drunk.
to get it.
the Chinese.
So, back to what we yeah,
So the perfect situation would be FRS to verify this before it comes to front board. But if we don't have that verification, then we go back and just say, approve the drop.
On their eligible date.
on their effective date, or eligible effective date.
But it may be anticipated,
If she
Or
sends
they,
us,
because they, if FRS comes and says, no, it's not April, it's May, then it's gotta come back in front of the board, right?
You don't know the date.
You didn't put a date, you say words, effective date.
Oh, I see what, so you're saying we
When
use
it's,
those
when
words.
it's.
Use those words
Okay,
only.
time.
Okay, agree.
Rather than putting a date for the beginning and a date for the end, that you might have to come back
Put
with
a date
change.
for anything,
Love it,
Just
I
approve
like
it.
that personally.
if that's okay.
Well, okay, hold on now. I hear what y'all saying, but think about this. Just indulge me here for a minute. We're not here in 2 years, for whatever reason. And it's not on the record when she entered drop, when she, all that kind of stuff. As a, Tammy Stevens got dropped, don't say when she's supposed to, when did that start? I mean, we gotta figure, somebody's gotta be able to read this if we're not here. If you don't put dates on it, you won't know exactly when.
Yeah, but she don't give you the approved date.
If you put anticipated date, you've got.
Well, that's what I shared with you on the phone. I think it's better to put
mechanism.
an anticipated date, and if it's right, it's right.
Right,
And if there's some bad, conflict, then change it.
and then
Yeah,
if it's
that's-
wrong, we gotta do it again anyhow, so.
So this would be my recommendation for it, if y'all will do it the way it is now, and then maybe Ms. Schuler and I can get together and kind of figure out what are our obligations, what do we have to put on there to approve, what is the board's responsibility, and then we can get back to it.
That'd be a question. What is specific to the
Yeah.
board has to?
Yeah, what is our obligation?
Why do we have to approve drops?
Correct.
I mean, when I was in, got ready to retire,
that's a good question.
does the board have to approve for someone to be in the drop? Is there any law or any more policy that says that we have to
I mean,
approve the drop?
what would happen if I did 30 years and I say, okay, I'm going into the drop, and then y'all come in here and say, sorry, Rick, you ain't going in the drop. Well, crap, I did 30 years, I'm going in the drop. What you gonna do to stop me?
You gonna do it somewhere else, then we,
But it's a
say
budget.
that you ain't doing it.
Well, understand that.
So it may need to fall under the board purview because of the budget.
But,
Melanie,
yeah,
correct or not?
The rate, that we contribute for drop is much higher. But talking about, we don't know, Ranza today was working on a report from January where it's an error report that FRS sends us and said we sent the wrong amount because we sent the drop rate because the person joined drop in January and it's April and they still don't have that yet, even though they had to have the paperwork. So that's why sometimes we won't have the answer before it comes to y'all.
Until that employee wants to enter the drop, most employees is figured, you know, I'm eligible for the drop, I'm gonna enter May. They write you that letter and say, I'm requesting to enter the drop in May, on May this date. If they're eligible, FRS is gonna say, yeah, and this is their final termination date. They gonna send that back to us to verify that. But as far as them entering the drop.
Well, she said,
Yeah. Maybe just wanna leave it alone.
Yeah.
Just leave it alone, let this be good.
We'll find out though, just to make sure as well.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Carried. This item B, need a motion to approve computer science teaching certification, FDOE, project award notification for the program period 7/1/22 to the 1/25/25. Have a motion?
Motion.
Mr. Moore, second, Mr. Flower. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Next item C. Need a motion to approve idea part B, K-12, entitlement FDOE, project award notification for program period of 7/1/22 to the 6/30/23. Have a motion?
Motion.
Jody, second. Second, Secretary, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item 11, item A has been deleted. Moving on to item B, need a motion to approve second reading of policy revision, 2431.01, good causes. Have a motion?
Motion.
Jody, second. Second, Secretary, any discussion? Opposed? Carried. Next item C, need a motion to approve second reading for the JS special update November 2022. Have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Flower, second.
Second.
Second, Ms. Jody, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to item 12, board member concerns, Ms. Flower.
I think I'm good.
Jody?
I'm good.
I'm good. Mr. Jason?
I've got one, we mentioned hosting the district beach volleyball tournament. Bathrooms.
We got one out there.
It's out there now. I thought everybody else.
It's under the little lean-to pole barn thing.
Okay.
Yeah, right out front. Yeah, around the corner. The southeast corner.
That it, bud?
That's it. Thank you.
Kevin, you know how we did a couple years ago with the bus driver appreciation stuff? Have y'all got anything donated yet or anything like that? I didn't know what you're doing. Okay, I mean, are you anticipating doing one of them? So I'll try to get some stuff together like I did with Ms. Williams. You know, even if it's just, I think most of it, we have one male driver at a time, we don't count y'all.
I mean, we talked about doing one, but I mean, I don't know, what are we doing? That's not a question.
Well, it's just a day of recognition. I mean, we know last week we had Librarian Appreciation Day. We recognized them. We did, what was another one? Parapro. You know, we can do nothing. Or we, you know, if we want to shower them with gifts or whatever.
It's your night, what are we gonna do?
But I can probably get some stuff like I did before, you know, just.
If you, that'd be great. That'd be good.
She kind of, Mr. Lane, what are we doing?
We'll do whatever you want to do. I think there's two different recognitions, there's like a state and a national, and we actually recognized them a few weeks ago, and gave them off something.
Yeah. Outside of 20.
You know, I usually say something in my Monday message or something, just as a recognition.
Right, check if you or something, bus ball.
I like fried fish, by the way, that'd be great.
Jason's gonna catch it.
Fried fish for lunch.
13, closing comment,
Lot of water.
item 14, need a
Motion.
motion.
Y'all, let's move to Miss Kathy. Y'all going to more? Hey, y'all remember Kathy, Kathy